How many losses does one have to suffer before you finally call them a loser? I've been pondering this question and thinking, what's the difference between just having a bunch of losses pile up and actually being a loser? And I've been thinking about that in terms of Brandon Johnson, just looking at what we can really call any tangible deliverables that he's provided so far during his mayoral tenure. And I've got to be honest, I think he's a loser.
The city of Chicago's credit rating has dropped. S&P Global Ratings announced today the city's general obligation bond rating went from BBB plus to just BBB. That means the credit agency believes the city is more likely to default. The rating drop comes after plenty of turmoil in City Hall over the city's budget before the council finally passed a budget near the end of the year. Tonight, Chicago pushing back on the downgrade. The city saying, quote, despite the public budget negotiations over the last couple of months, the city's credit fundamentals have not changed, and the rating does not accurately reflect the strength of the city's credit or ability to meet its debt and pension obligations.
So that's the first data point. The city's credit rating has been downgraded under this mayor. And of course, they're going to respond and say, oh, that's not accurate. The city's underlying fundamentals are still sound. That's like me picking up the phone and calling up TransUnion and saying, hey, why is my credit score 500? It should be 700. It's an independent credit rating company. That's their job, is to provide credit ratings. So that's the first thing that I thought about. And then next, we've just got businesses just continuing to leave the city. You had financial companies, Morton Salt, the Guggenheim Company, TTX Corporation, that's a train company. But even local businesses, retail establishments, they can't even survive in Chicago.
Loop are often looking for a quick and affordable lunch. That includes us here at CBS.
Some of our colleagues noticed there used to be lots of McDonald's locations nearby. Check out all those golden arches. But one by one, you can see most have disappeared. So we sent our Lauren Victory to find out why.
An outside source told us crime and tensions with the unhoused were a factor for at least one of the closures.
No one saw that coming, right? Crime and problems with the unhoused. No one saw that coming at all because, of course, Chicago is one of the safest cities in the world. That's what Brandon Johnson says. It's the safest big city in the world. So we have the city's credit rating getting downgraded under Brandon Johnson. Businesses are leaving. And guess who else is leaving?
So much speculation about this stadium move, and today the most decisive comments yet from Bears president Kevin Warren, as he says Arlington Heights is now the top priority, but there are some political hurdles still ahead. Roughly 4 years after announcing the Arlington Heights racetrack as a possible destination for a new stadium, the Chicago Bears are now one step closer to actually moving there.
We strongly believe that is the only location in Cook County that will allow us to build a stadium, the new Chicago Bears stadium with a fixed roof.
Warren says the team has been meeting with the village of Arlington Heights every week about these stadium plans, and both sides appear to be on the same page.
Internally in our office here, when we meet with them, that's how we feel about it, and we agree with that.
All of this points to the team shifting away focus from renovating the stadium on Chicago's lakefront, as Warren says they're just about ready to break ground.
So another L under Mayor Brandon Johnson. We've got the credit getting downgraded. We've got businesses leaving left and right. And now the Chicago Bears are going to be leaving. He just can't seem to get a win, people. So that's the question I'm asking. Losing? Is he losing? Or at this point, is he a loser? That's the question that we're asking. But it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there, people. Watch this.
As Labor Day weekend arrives, tourists continue to visit Chicago's top attractions. Revenue generated from amusement and recreation taxes is up this year, but not nearly enough to bail the city out of a budget deficit that is larger than originally expected.
Without significant shifts in how we balance our budget, the services that the people of Chicago have begun to rely upon, they would certainly be in jeopardy.
As he begins the process of balancing the 2026 budget by the end of the year, Mayor Johnson says the city is $1.15 billion in the hole. The increased forecast includes closing this year's budget $146 million short and possibly having to absorb a controversial pension payment the Chicago Board of Education voted not to include in the school district's budget.
Our economy does remain resilient, but fiscal discipline is certainly required in this moment.
But the mayor's critics say fiscal discipline was required the moment Johnson took office.
Yes, Mayor Brandon Johnson. Fiscal discipline was required about 2 years, about 3-4 months ago when you got elected, when you took office. Now, after you've spent hundreds of millions of dollars on the migrant crises, after you've tried to raise property taxes and couldn't, you came into office with these silly ideas that you ran on, that you were going to create these different revenue streams like fuel surtaxes and taxing financial transactions that all needed, approvals from either Springfield or from the federal government. None of those worked, by the way, no surprise. But now you're saying, oh, we've got to get this budget under control. How about something really simple like furloughs, getting rid of duplicative positions within city government? But he's on the record. He's not going to fire anyone. So we've got the credit downgrade. We've got businesses leaving. We've got issues with the city's budget. But guess what? It doesn't stop there.
CTA passengers sounded off at a town hall tonight. Our Jermont Terry is live with the problems the CTA is facing if funding does not come from Springfield. Jermont.
Erica, CTA says it's preparing for 2 budget scenarios. One with money it needs to keep services going, the other with a huge budget deficit. And if that money doesn't come in, not only will passengers see cuts in services, CTA says they could stop running at 9 p.m. nightly. With 1 million people riding the CTA by rail or buses daily, there's no doubt it is essential to Chicagoans.
I recently moved to Chicago, and one of the reasons was transit.
Will Filner is one of a dozens who packed Truman College to hear what CTA leaders are bracing for.
And a lot of the jobs that I'm applying to are not near me, so I take the L most of the time just to get to job interviews.
You heard it there. Not only does the city have a $1.15 billion budget deficit, CTA is running out of money. They're talking about possibly cutting services at 9 p.m. every night, every day. People depend on that transit. But of course, you go back to this a dilettante of a mayor. He's blaming the budget deficit on, hey, we need this money from Springfield. But here's another option, Brandon Johnson. Raise the rates. Raise the fare. If people have to choose between not having service or paying a little bit more, they'll probably pay a little bit more. But he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to do that. So we've got the budget deficit at the city. We've got the budget deficit with CTA. We got a $734 million budget deficit with CPS, with the school system. And his number one answer that he has to solve all of this, you probably guessed it already, but this is his patented answer to everything.
I'm going to go after progressive revenue. That's what the people of Chicago and working class families in particular want us to see us to do. So I think it's important that we look at, in a very meaningful way, how those individuals with means, particularly our billionaires and ultra rich who have benefited from a growing economy, can put more skin in the game.
You heard it there first, everybody. That's his go-to every time. It's not to cut expenses in terms of the city budget. It's not to raise fares in the case of the CTA. It's not to admit that the credit got downgraded because it's being mismanaged. Then you blame the credit agencies. It's not to admit that businesses are leaving because of crime. No, they're just not good corporate citizens. Everything that's happening under his watch, it's someone else's fault. And when it's all said and done, he wants the billionaires and ultra rich to pay their fair share. He just doesn't get it. The billionaires and the ultra rich are the very individuals who have the most mobility. They're the ones who can just pick up and leave whenever they feel like it. But these are the people who you want to take their money and prop up services for working class people, which again, have nothing against working class people, but it's not fair to take money from billionaires and the super rich and to redistribute those funds and reallocate them to prop up a mismanaged city. Nothing against, against having a progressive tax system. I do believe in a progressive tax system. However, I don't believe that you should go out and take people's money to obfuscate your poor fiscal management. This man has been in office over 2.5 years. He has not done one thing to help the city of Chicago. He's done a couple of things where he can, do these platitudes. Oh, we've opened up a mental health facility. I think he opened up one in Roseland on the south side, or, little things like that. But the city is drowning in debt. And we're asking an elementary school social studies teacher to save the third largest city in the country. Perhaps the fault is ours. It's definitely the fault of the voters of the city of Chicago. And I really, really hope in 2027 that they make a better decision, because this man is the wrong man for the job. So my question still stands, and I need you to help me figure this out. Is he losing, or is he a loser? How many losses do you have to have before you finally call someone a loser? That's the question that I need you to help me figure out in the comment section. And the comments, this audience, the followers of this show, you are a great group of people. I appreciate everything that you've been doing by supporting the channel. And I want to give a shout out really quickly to 3 people in particular. Got to give a shout out to Robert Stanton 2918. He gave a super thanks of $2. I want to also give a shout out to Greg Navarra. He also gave a super thanks for $1.99. And last but certainly not least, let me give a shout out to Greg Blackport 631. He gave a super thanks of $5. I appreciate all 3. I appreciate all of you for your comments, your likes, your shares. Even when you give a comment and it's not complimentary, or you're just telling me something you don't like about the channel, that helps me recalibrate to make sure that I can create a deliverable that's going to have the most appeal to the widest audience. So thank you for that. You can support the show with super thanks, but the easiest and the freest way you can support this channel is just by hitting that subscribe button and then leaving a comment. Again, I appreciate you. Let's get this conversation going about Brandon Johnson. Losing or loser? I'll catch you in the next one.